In today's video, we're going to be doing a full walkthrough around uSNKRS, what it is, how it operates, what your settings should look like, and how you can get everything started. Initially, when you download the bot and you open it up, of course, you met with the initial UI. In this area here, we're looking at the dashboard. The dashboard will show you your statistics for the day or for your lifetime of how many launches you've gone for, how many automated logins you've had, how many Nike entries you've logged, and how many checkouts that's translated into. There is a QPass area right here as well too that identifies the queue passing module that they have built into the bot, but the average uSNKRS user will only realistically be using this for sneakers raffle entries. Next portion of it, you have the upcoming releases. So it's just allowing you to see what's been loaded into the calendar and what you can expect that is coming up. And then on the right side, if there were any successful checkouts, it will show you the last 7 days or your lifetime within this area right here. You're going to navigate over to the settings page. Inside of the settings page, there's a few things that you want to do. By default, some of these are automatically enabled. What you will be adding in yourself will be starting out with your notification webhooks. Why is this important? Well, if you do get a successful checkout or if you get a failure, if you set up your webhooks, it will push a notification to your Discord channel that you've assigned to it, notifying you of the outcome of the situation. Underneath that, you have a series of delays. Some are set to default. In this video, mine may look different than yours. It is because I've slightly tweaked and adjusted it, but I'll be going through what these are meant for and what purposes they serve. You have import and export on this side if you want to export your data. You have the ability to enable, disable webhook settings. And then on the left side of course here, you have simple things such as the nickname. So I set it to Polish Fs. You can change the checkout sound to one of the 3 different ones that they have loaded. If you're experiencing any issues where your Chrome browser is not opening when you're attempting to get your session or enter a raffle, you can reset the app path, and then you would restart the bot and it would try to locate where Google Chrome's path is so it can open up the window for you. Right above that, you have your profile information as well as when your license is set to expire. So set your notification webhooks. Underneath here, what we're going to look at next is the best practices around what your delays should be. As you can see here, mine is set to 30,000 milliseconds for the time to wait between tasks starting. When you set this up at 30,000, you're telling uSNKRS to wait for 3 total seconds in between each tasks as they're starting up. If you're in a country where 3DS is required and it needs to be solved, by default, the bot should be at 6,000. Underneath that, you have what is known as checkout checkpoint timeout. By default, it would be set at 20,000. I've adjusted this 30,000 milliseconds. Let me help you understand what the goal and intent behind this unique feature is. So, if you've ran a sneakers drop before, I'm sure you've experienced errors. When you set a 30,000 millisecond, you're telling uSNKRS to wait for 3 seconds and then check the Nike servers. If Nike servers are doing well and there aren't any issues, it will attempt to enter the raffle once again. If this number or figure is too low, you can run into a position where you might get a webhook, if you've set up your webhook, of course. You might get a webhook that will state server hang error, or your task will simply close the window and it will just stop and error out. How do you prevent this from happening? That would be by making sure that you have adjusted this to a minimum of 30,000 milliseconds so that you can give uSNKRS the time that it needs to double check and make sure that Nike servers are in a good position before it attempts to enter the drop again if there were previous errors with your task. All right, this side here, if you want to export, just simply select what you want exported. If you're not enabling stats, then what will happen is the checkout information that I had mentioned over here will not carry over. Once you've gotten this sorted out, you're going to want to navigate over to the forward email page. What is the email forward page? Now, in light of recent updates with Nike, if you want to log in for the very first time into a Nike account on your specific machine, you will be prompted to enter in an authorized code, which is also in short known as an OTP. The authorized code ultimately will send an email directly to that Nike account's email address. In a regular flow, you would take that code, you would manually enter it in so it can complete the login. If you add your forwarded emails, which would consist of email address, password, the IMAP server, and the port into here, you're automating the process of uSNKRS accessing that master email that you have or emails that you have so that it can look for those codes as it's going through its initial account sign-in process. Right above that, once you've set this up, right above that, navigate over to the card profile page. The card profile page is where you're going to be adding in your billing information. This is the billing information that you're going to be adding to your Nike account so you can use them actively for the drop. On the right side, you can import them using AYCD profile module. You can bulk add profiles or you can add them in individually. If you want to add a profile in manually, you would simply add, type out the information necessary. There is a suggestions and grading system. We'll call it a score based off of what's identified here. That will rate how effective and good the information that you've added into the bot is. Now that we've gone ahead and we've added our billing information in here, our next step would be, we're going to skip this right here. We're going to navigate over to Nike accounts. Inside of Nike accounts is where we're going to be adding our sneakers account. So go to add sneakers. And in here, in the format that you've seen up here, you'll be adding your sneakers information. So polar@gmail.com. Polar, there we go. We have our user and our password. Once we've gone ahead and we've added these in, we can save them, which will appear right here. Once you've gone ahead and you've completed this area, then you're going to navigate over to draw profiles and you're going to link the two together. Now the linking process, if you want to do it manually, you would simply select add profile. You'll find that profile that you added. Here is where you would be adding a profile proxy. So if you want to marry and tie an ISP of yours or a proxy of yours to that account so that it remains that proxy at all times, you would input that into here. If you want to set a size, which is your preferred sizing in here, you can. If you do none, it won't make much of a difference. You just won't be able to select account sizing preferences. You would have to manually assign out the sizes you want to run per account. Once you've gone through this, you will select link profile, and now it has tied the two together. So when I do go ahead and create tasks, and I do want to run for an upcoming release, now it will say that polar@gmail.com is going to use the email or billing profile that I have tied to that for that release. If you have multiple accounts and you want to add them in, you'll simply select bulk link to CVV. The bulk link to CVV will ask for this format. This is the email, this is the CVV, and if you wanted to, you would add the size and the proxy in there. What would that look like? polar@gmail.com, Q72. We'll say, for example, we're going to go sizing preference size 10, and then if we're going to be adding a proxy in, we can add that like so. That's it. You press bulk link. If you don't want to add any of that, we're just doing the format of email and CVV. You can simply add them in like you see here, and then you will go ahead and select bulk link. There is another method and an easier method, if you like, that I will show you. If you visit the uSNKRS channel inside of our Discord, I've linked this Google document that you're able to download and use to edit. The beauty of this is that if you navigate over to the bulk link CVV page right here, you can manually add all the information in here, and then mathematically it will populate the output so that you can just simply copy and paste this directly into uSNKRS so that you're not sitting here manually adding each individual one. This helps automate and speed up the process of linking all of these up together using the CVB. There are other tabs as well too. So for password resets, if you want to add them in here, as you can see, IMAP servers have been included within that as well. You have your bulk link profiles if you wanted to use this feature, adding your profile information, and then you have your Nike accounts that you can add in here. So this tool here that I've included within the channel is just simply to help speed up the process when it comes down to setting up uSNKRS if you have a lot of accounts. But you can find that inside of the channel at any given time. Going back to here, you'll select bulk link, and then what it will do is what we have seen in this section right here. Now that we've gotten our accounts and our billings tied together, we're going to navigate over to the Proxies tab. Now the Proxies tab, I'm inserting this in here because during the account draw profile linking process, if you did not give that account an actual proxy, then you will need to assign proxies in this category. How would you do that? You just simply select Add Proxies. You'll add your proxies in here, and then you can name it whatever you like. If you want to name it something different, you most definitely can. Once you've gotten them added, you'll notice here that says check proxies, and then underneath that says save without checking. uSNKRS, similar to many other bots, have something that is known as latency issues. These bots are not proxy testers, so if you run check proxy, you might run into proxy testing issues, and the information that the bot is giving you around the speeds or the connectivity will be false. So what is a good practice to check your proxies? Well, inside of our proxy channel, the guides that we have there, I've linked multiple different proxy testers. I want you to download that proxy tester, dump your proxies in there, and you can ping test them through there. Once you've done this, you can navigate over to the tasks page. Inside of the task page, you can create tasks manually, or if you want to use the quick shortcuts, you'll navigate over to the calendar side. As you can see here, based off of the region that you've assigned, find which drop you're looking to go for. So in this case, we're going to assume that we're going to be going for this one right here. This was yesterday, mind you, but we're assuming that this is the one that we're going for right here. If you hover over the plus sign, you'll notice that it says create tasks. The uniqueness of uSNKRS also is that to the left, you can go straight to StockX to check the resale prices. To the right, you can go straight to GOAT to check the StockX prices. I apologize, the GOAT prices. And then underneath that, you can actually hover over and see how much stock is loaded. And they've color-coded it to green being high, blue being out of stock, red being low stock, and yellow being medium stock. So it's a great way of being able to measure so that when it comes to creating tasks for yourself, you're creating tasks for size ranges where it's been identified that there's a good amount of stock made available to you. So with that being said, let's jump over to an upcoming release. We'll go for the Toros. So the Toros right here, we have multiple sizes. You got 8.5, that's low, 17, medium, no issues. We're going to select create tasks. And here it is. It's automatically selected the product. It's automatically selected the entry mode, which is preload. Now we just need to assign the rest of these out. Profiles, we're going to select the profiles. If you want to select all because you're using all, you would do so. If you have multiple accounts, but you only want to use a portion, you will need to create one task per account. In this case, for demonstration today, we only have one profile loaded. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Just so that you are aware, there are different types of modes available. uSNKRS will automatically select it for you based off of the calendar. So my recommendation is just to leave it, don't touch it, and just follow along with the rest of the steps. Here, if you had set a profile size, as I had demonstrated earlier, if you select this, then it'll run that size that you had assigned to it up. That's the default account size. If you want to go for a size range, you'll select size range. From here, you could select multiple by simply just clicking on the size and just dragging your mouse down and then letting go of the button. We're going to pretend that we're going for the high one, so we're going to go for right here, 9 to 12. If you want to add 8, 7.5, and 7 into the mix, just hold down the control button on your keyboard and then click the sizes that you're going for. And that's it. Now we just selected these. To the right side, you have proxies. If you assigned proxies to your profile, you'll select profile proxy. So it'll use the profile that you had married to this billing info. If you don't have proxies, then what it will do is if you've assigned out your proxies in the Proxies tab and whatever you have named it, it will appear in this area. You can select that. Or you can do singular proxies. If you want to add a single proxy that is separate or different from what you already have inside of the bot and your list, you can input that into here. I always link them and marry them together. So I'm just going to go ahead and select use profile proxy. Now, underneath this is the timers. So here's where you're going to have to put a little bit of work into setting this up accordingly. What is schedule start? So schedule start time is useful for both people that are not going to be around to bot, so they're scheduling the start time of their tasks, or for people that just want to make sure that they are starting their tasks at an effective time. How do we get started with this? Select the dates that the drop is happening, and then when it comes down to the time that you want to tell uSNKRS, hey, start my tasks for me, you're going to assign it out in this area. Now, my time zone is PST. Drops happen at 7 a.m. for me. Generally, I start my tasks 15 minutes before the drop. So I'm going to select 6:45 a.m. Underneath that, I have something that is called launch distribution. The default and the recommended amount is 1,000 milliseconds. So I'm going to type out 1,000. What is this? I'm telling uSNKRS that I want you to launch the browser windows from the tasks that are starting 1 second apart from each other. You can increase this delay if you want to. It will just slow down the opening process. It is a good practice to increase this delay. You can do about 2,000 or you can do 3,000 if you want, if you're not running too many accounts. But if you got 50 accounts in here, you only got 15 minutes to get your accounts prepared for entry. So you'll want to set it up at the default of 1,000. Once you've gotten this set up, underneath that, you're going to schedule your entry starts. Now we're going to be telling uSNKRS that, hey, when drop time happens, I want my very first entry to be at X time. So let's select the date that the drop is happening on the 24th. And then once we've selected that, if it doesn't populate anything for you, you can manually input the time where you want the very first entry to log itself. Now the default should populate 19 seconds after the hour when the drop has happened. So 19 seconds into the drop. This is fine if you're not running a lot of accounts. If you're running 30, 40, 50 accounts, you may want to adjust this and bring it down a bit. So we'll say, for example, 6 seconds in, I want my very first entry to occur. Entry start distribution. Now we're going to be telling uSNKRS how quickly we want to enter the actual release. So default is 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So we're telling uSNKRS that every second I want you to enter the release. Now again, if you're running a lot of accounts, 1,000 is what you want it to be at. If you have less accounts, you can increase this delay if you want. If you don't know what you're doing, then just don't touch the delays and leave it at 1,000 as it is. Once you've completed this part of the setup, now on the right side, everything that you see here, these are all default values that I want you to leave as is. Don't touch it, leave it as is. Now, create tasks. Done. Now my task has been created. My billing information is already tied and then posted right here. Now, as you can see, it says the launch schedule right here. My schedule entry is right here. And all I need to do at this stage is just leave the bot open. And come drop time, it's going to automatically start my tasks, open up a browser window, to which then it's going to attempt to enter the release for the time that we had given it. A few other things here that you should note is that there's delete all, there's a create tasks, there's a start all. There are some other features such as shock drop mode. So shock drop mode is to be enabled and to be used when there is a sneakers shock drop that will be happening. You're going to navigate over to the calendar page. Inside of the calendar page, you're going to grab the SKU of the product that you're expecting to go for, and you're going to plug it into here. Once you've plugged it in, you're going to press the plus sign, and it's going to add it to the calendar. When you add it to the calendar, what it's going to look like is this. And then, of course, just like we created tasks initially, you can create tasks directly from the calendar page. And then when it comes down to the running part of it, you're just going to simply start your tasks or schedule them to start 2 to 3 minutes before the expected release time. The pages are going to open up, and pages, I mean the web browsers. This button area right here will be green, and shock drop monitoring will flip from idle to enabled. Your task statuses are going to read waiting for product info, and your browser windows will then navigate over to the product once it's found it and will attempt to enter the release. And that's it. This is how easy it is to run uSNKRS. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please open up a ticket inside of the Discord and we'll help get you started.